Lane Saget, Robert Lane Saget, present and future, visible and invisible, for what we want to know. And it's saying, was he hiding something? Was he doing something he wasn't supposed to? Was there things that he did maybe in the past? Were there things that he was planning to do?
Did he really fall in?
Did he really fall and get hurt? Or is there some foul play here? And the God and the Saints will reveal the answers to my question. What's hidden behind black? Here we go.
Good luck.
The problem is, how are we going to ever know? Because there's not even... Well, anyway, okay. Whatever. Whatever you guys want to do. Here we go. First two coming out. I'm not going to do the circle. I want to see. Interesting. So it says there wasn't a lot of love in his life. Like, a lot of love. It says money, yeah. But it does say in the crossing of that was a part of something that was... how would you put this? Like motherly, like kind of like...
nurturing.
There was a nurturing part of him, but to what extent, I really don't know. It says there is triumph. There was a lot of triumph for him in his life. But it also says in the past, things were incomplete. So there was some things that he was trying to get together, trying to do. And at the same time, things that it looks like he was trying to hide. It says, and for that in the present, it's unfortunate. It does say, and I'm going to move this over just a little bit, guys. It does say, so things came to an end. Wow. That's harsh. And that's the present. Things are at an end because he's no longer here. It says, when it came to himself and money, it said that was an obstacle. So I don't know why it was an obstacle, but it says it was an obstacle. And sometimes he felt like he was hanging himself, or like he wasn't completely content with something that had happened. It says family-wise, in the future, something about family. I don't know what that means. We'll find out. And then it says there's the decision that he needed to make about some things from the past when it had to do with... So here's an interesting thing, is that these cards are saying that there was a decision that he needed to make about relationships that he had sexually that brought him to destruction. Now, whether they were sexually... Well, we'll find out when we throw the cards, but were they with minors or were they with somebody who was older or somebody that he was just having relationships with, there was destruction with that. So he had to make a decision whether they were going to destroy him, is what it's saying, which is really interesting. It says, this is interesting. It says, all tied up. So it's something about tied up, like he was either all tied up or he didn't know what he was going to do. For the longest time, he felt like he was handcuffed and dumb and blinded. It says a relationship with a woman that was upside down, and then it talks about, but still there was no hardship. Like he still had a decent life. And then it says, but things were really incomplete for him. Like a lot of things were coming back kind of to haunt him. He says that he wished there was no karma, but he knew there was. And maybe that's why. Something about his mom. It's talking about something motherly, nurturing. I don't know what his relationship was like with his mom, but it does say that things started to become very clear for him and what his weakness was. It says, and that's what turned him upside down and brought him to his knees. It says, for that he's discontent, or was discontent. And now it's kind of weird because now I'm kind of dialing into him, not the cards, which is really weird. Like an explanation is coming. It says, for the triumph that was there for him, it says, and that's very interesting, talking about the triumph that was there for him, it says there was a lot of stress. It says stress about God or what God thought, and that made him like want to walk away from it. They made him want to walk away from him. It says something that quickly came, it says, was a road that he would have to take. One that had darkness and one that had light. It says, it's unfortunate presently what's happened. It says, but there was no more fruit in the tree. Like he knew he couldn't do what was being asked. And even though the road was open for him to do it, like he could have done it, he knew that it would turn him completely upside down. It would destroy him. It says, and he didn't want to be a fool. He didn't want to humiliate himself. That says, there was a lot of lies and deception in his life. It talks about when things came to an end, it says, there is a man, and that's talking about me, who's telling his story. It says, where he felt like he ran out of opportunities. It says, and a woman who was already upside down with him, and things just not working out the way he wanted to, and all he really wanted was to be happy. It says when it came to his home, it says he was never really alone. It says, but somebody was always angry with him, and there was always some angry woman. And then it talks about, and I don't know if that means someone that was there, a family member, someone, but it does say he didn't want to be depressed, but he was always like, what's the anxiety? Like there was always a lot of anxiety for him, and I don't know why. It says, and that's what made the sun not shine. The one obstacle that he had was that he had a temper. Even though you didn't see it, he had a temper. So the good side that you would see isn't who he really was. There was an anger and a disturbance within him, like a vibe. He's saying, like something that he felt would never go away. A decision that he made that he regretted that was haunting him. It says, and that's what brought upon his death. Interesting. It says, wow. Then it talks about children. It says, no triumph. So I don't think he was involved with kid stuff, but I do think he was involved with relationships where he kind of got blackmailed, and that means on the other side of the realm, if you guys dig what I'm saying. I just don't want to say it.
Same with all time.
What? Okay, yeah. It says what was left hanging for him was he didn't get a chance to travel to a couple of things that he wanted to do. So there's things he wanted to do. It says nothing ever really magically happened for him, but I guess justice was finally served. Like judgment was finally served. It says, and money was always there. He goes, and so was work. He says, when it comes to family, he didn't want any problems, but he had no defense. He was who he was. It says his spirituality and his temptations all mixed into one. So that must mean that things were jumbled up, and that's what he fought. Those were his demons, his temptations, and his spiritual. In other words, the willingness to do good and the desire to be bad. And that's a strong, strong combination when you want to do good and you know you're doing bad, it just starts eating you up. It says the decision that needed to be made, which is really interesting. The decision that needs to be made about relationships with lovers, or things that what he's talking about, it says that's what cut off his head. So I have a feeling, and this is just my take, you guys can think whatever you want, but just the vibe that I'm getting from him and the vibe that I'm getting is that the reason they cut off his head was because they had him blackmailed. They wanted him to do something that might humiliate him, and that wasn't where he wanted to go anymore. It says, and because of that, he didn't want to have that burden on his back. It says he had celebrated and done things long enough, and he figured, his time had come in this world. It says, and that's why he delayed in doing it. And so that's what brought upon everything. And then came destruction, it says. It says he just didn't see eye to eye with the people who wanted things. And even though they offered him to return back to money, making more money, it says he wasn't afraid to lose anymore. He came to a point where he had come clean with it. It says he figures he had mastered everything from the past, but he didn't. It says, and still there was people who offered love. I don't know. This could be a relationship on the other end of the spectrum. And that's kind of, he didn't want to break anybody's heart because of that. You guys know what I mean by the other end of the spectrum?
No.
Tony.
Spectrum. Oh.
That spectrum.
Oh.
It says because for the most part his health was fine. So where did he fall from? If that's what they're saying, did he fall from like a tall building? I mean, how do you, even if you fall back, the chances of really cracking your skull open are slim and none. Like you'd have to hit like concrete. And you hit concrete and didn't even make a dent in your head.
Chuck says he's in Epstein's book.
There you go. So he had blackmail on him. So there you go. If he's in Epstein's book, there you go. It says women upside down. So that tells me a huge change is going to come. So I don't know if he had memoirs, if he had something. It says, which will bring people back to love. It says, but as of right now, no new beginning and no brujeria. So basically, there's some blackmail stuff. He didn't want to continue to go on with it. And so, yeah, they fucked him up. I mean, I would have liked to see the autopsy, but I guess money can change anything, right?